Here, biblical business coach. I help faith-based entrepreneurs achieve quantum leaps in their life and get unstuck. And today I want to go over some updates and haven't asked me anything. I just concluded my third day of a 21-day water-only fast. And we're gearing up for a fun challenge. January 15th, if you're interested in breakthroughs in your life, we're actually doing a live free 7-day challenge in preparation of launching of a book called the Miraculous Breakthrough Formula. I'm going to show you a 7-day challenge, biblically guaranteed, to help you get unstuck and achieve the impossible in life. So want to hop on today, give some updates on things, and ask me anything as well too. So feel free to put anything in the chat, whether live or in replay. And if you're not subscribed yet to our YouTube, we also put these live there as well. But great to see you guys. How do you do it? So how do you do a water fast for that long? The first day or two, and I'll give some updates here. So the first 72 hours are kind of interesting. I will have to say day 2 was a little bit tough. Day 3 today was a little bit interesting as well too. Day 2, I dealt with some cravings. Day 3 today, I didn't really have many cravings, but I was weaker because you have no calories, right? But how do you do it? First, you have to decide, and what's different about this is there are fasts and then there's spiritual fast. The spiritual fast is when you are doing a fast for the purpose of getting closer to God. And then there's a fast for just dietary reasons. There's a lot of cool benefits on the fast itself as well too. But I will say that if you're doing a spiritual fast, then to answer the question, how do you do it? It really is, fasting 3 days straight. It's been 72 hours now, right on the dot. But when you do a spiritual fast, really you are sustained by God himself. There's no other way to describe it, but God is able to just miraculously kind of carry you through the fast and everything. And while you have cravings, while you have some times of weakness, you spend that time to really get closer to God. And there's a spiritual renewal that starts to happen in that. Well, what's up, everybody? Hey, I'm just doing an Ask Me Anything. I'm concluding a 3-day complete water-only fast out of 21 days. That's my commitment, actually. And just giving some updates. So feel free to ask any questions there are. But yeah, so what do I think about life? I think life is fantastic. I think life is great. I think life is fascinating. I think life is something to be absolutely grateful for. I believe that if we're living right now, that means that God's not done with us. I believe that we're all placed here for a purpose. I believe that we're all placed here to be able to serve other people. Do I get dizzy? If I stand up too quickly, sometimes I do get a little lightheaded because your body's going through a lot of physiological changes. So when you start to deplete your glycogen levels and your sugar levels and your body's transitioning, actually, in the first couple of days, a lot of things happen. By around 18 hours of a complete fast, you start to kick in what's called ketosis, which is you're starting to get and use your fat cells for energy rather than just carbs itself. So that starts to happen. But I did get a little bit dizzy if you're standing up way too quickly because your body's still getting adjusted and it's a little bit low in calories. Do I still take supplements? Oh, nice. You're doing an alternative 24-hour day fast every other day. That's great. I am this time using some supplements. The first time I did a 7-day only water only fast, I just went straight water. I felt like that was the calling by the Lord. But this time, because I'm going a little bit longer, I'm aiming to do a 21-day water only fast. I am using some supplements just kind of be careful, right? So number one, I am using these drops. These drops are great because number one, it has a vitamin B is important to have. So these don't have calories in them, but this one does have vitamin B. And then this one helps with carb cravings, actually. So I'm using these. I'm also, just to make sure that my immune system is good, I'm using a magnesium, vitamin D, calcium product. So I'm using this one every day. I also have a vitamin C and a grapeseed extract product. So this is good for immune system too. And I'm using fish oil, actually. So fish oil omega-3s are really good. And last thing, I'm actually using an activated charcoal and heavy metal detox. Because as you're fasting, you're really getting rid of a lot of the junk in your body. So that can actually lead to some dizziness sometimes, especially first couple of days. So That's what I've been using this time. No food, music, complete dopamine detox. Yeah, it's important. Detox is fasting, and there's many different types of fasts out there. There's water only fast, but you can also fast certain foods. You can fast music. You can fast social media. Fasting is a specific thing that you're just getting away from, and in a spiritual sense, you're using that time and energy, and thanks to the share, to be able to commit yourself to God and to be able to really get a deeper spiritual connection. So great questions. But 72 hours in, I will say today it's interesting because physically, now I love food. I love food. I'm the type of person that when I wake up, I think about breakfast, and then when I eat breakfast, I think about lunch, and then when I finish lunch, I think about dinner, and then when I finish dinner, I think about breakfast. That's the type of person I am. So it's really interesting to see just how the body reacts when you do a fast like this. It's actually not as hard as what you might think. Your cravings actually go away when you do things properly, because what happens is your body actually stops producing the hunger hormone called ghrelin. So literally, you're fine. That's your problem. Yeah. Yeah. So literally, just no food, and it's crazy. It's crazy. Like literally, just have no cravings. It is very, very interesting right there. But that being said, you have to be a little bit mindful and a little bit careful. The first 2 or 3 days, it can be a little bit interesting, dependent on your background, and thanks to the rose, dependent on where your blood sugar's at, stuff like that. Like you might feel a little bit dizzy, you might feel a little cranky, you're gonna feel a little bit tired. I do feel a little cold just because I'm like super, there's no calories there. But at the same time, you do start to get a lot of mental clarity. On the spiritual side, what that does is when you fast, you're able to starve the body, but you're able to feed the spirit. And that's our goals right there. Oh, you read Dr. Fung's fasting book? Yeah, Dr. Fung, he's a great doctor that talks all about the benefits of fasting. Have I heard about parasites that will secrete hormones to make you crave a food to need it to live? I haven't, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. Yeah, parasites are a real thing in your body. Bacteria, there's real stuff in your body that happens. The body's fascinating, especially when you start to look at the microbiome, when you start to look at your gut health and all that. Like it's very, very interesting what happens there. But yeah, this interesting. So I did a 7-day water only fast. Actually, what I did is I did a 3-day water only fast when I heard of this concept, and that was transformative. I did it for spiritual reasons, but the health side, it's very interesting as well too. Then it was Thanksgiving, and because it was Thanksgiving, I'm like, I got to hang out with fam, so I broke my fast there. And then I decided to do a complete 7-day water only fast, and that was so transformative. It was so transformative. I decided to write a book on it called The Miraculous Breakthrough Formula, the 7-day challenge, biblically guaranteed to help you get unstuck and achieve the impossible. There's a lot of spiritual benefits of fasting, prayer, and Bible study. And now I felt that this year, and basically I wrote the book, I started promoting the book. If you're interested in more information on that, you can check the Kickstarter. There's a link in my link tree in the bio. We have 20 days left actually for that Kickstarter. So it's a do or die thing. So either we get funds raised and we're launching the book, or we're not and we're not. So I felt like God was leading me to do an actual live challenge. So if anyone's interested in these types of principles, I'm actually now going to be doing January 15th, so 10 days from now, I'm going to be doing a free live 7-day miraculous breakthrough challenge. If you've been in a place where you've been stuck in your business, your life, your spirituality, this is something I'd love for you to be a part of. I'm actually teaching now how to properly fast and how to properly pray, how to properly study the Bible, so you can have God show up in incredible ways and to have miraculous breakthroughs in your life. So I'm starting at January 15th. If you are interested in that, then be sure to check out my link in the bio. I have a Telegram group called Kingdom Builders, and we're going to be giving updates there. I just launched it like the last day or two, and been excited to see people have been interested in that. So I want to guide people through that specifically. But yeah, let's see. You've been tempted to take a detox from Paragard. I'm actually not sure what that is. Is that a parasite specifically? I think it is. Got it. Yeah. So that's something for the parasites. I'm not too familiar in that topic. So I don't really have too much of a comment there. But through the process, so I'm going to be leading that 7 day period. But personally, I felt like God was calling me to do a prolonged water only fast. So this is the end of day 3. I'm aiming to do 21 days, and I'm very fascinated to see what happened. So day 3 update. I'm feeling good now. There was some parts where I was a little bit tired. I was definitely colder, but I'm starting to feel good now and starting to get a lot of clarity. Starting to learn a lot about patience. I think what's interesting is when you fast, our bodies are so influenced by our physical bodies that many times we're not able to focus on our mind and we're not able to focus on our spirit. So when you fast, you're able to starve the body, feed the spirit. So I'm starting to learn certain things about myself. I'm starting to learn, for example, that I am addicted to activity because I feel like if I'm not taking action, then I'm not moving the needle forward. Especially being an entrepreneur, I feel very guilty many times not doing something. Let's say I have a sit down period of just nothing. I feel bad about that. But one epiphany that I had today is it's better to take the right action with God's timing than to try to take a lot of actions without his timing. Because God can do immeasurably more in 1 minute than we could do in our entire lifetime. So one thing that I feel like God's been teaching me through this process is to be able to lean on him, trust on his timing. And what I'm doing now is when I feel like instead of taking uninspired, frustrated action, which in business, many times that's kind of how you feel, right? Like if you're an entrepreneur, you understand how it is. You're like, you feel like you should be hustling all the time. There's no on or off switch. It's just like you should always be doing something. But what I realized is, if I ever feel like I'm taking action in a frustrated state or a negative state, it's better to take that time to slow down, to pray, to read the Bible, to meditate, to worship, whatever that it is, and just trust that God's going to give the best next steps. It's all throughout scripture. But it's interesting when God gives a promise. I think about Abraham. If you know the story of Abraham in the book of Genesis, Abraham is the father of many great nations. And Abraham was someone that was given a promise by God. And what happened was God said, you will have children. You're going to be the father of many great nations. And the issue was Abraham was almost 100 years old when he was given this promise. So he was like tripping out about that promise. And what's up, everybody? So coming in, let me know where you're coming in from too. I'm just going over and ask me anything. I just completed a 72 water fast. So I'm just giving some updates there. But Abraham was given this promise at 100 years old. His wife, Sarah, was 99 years old. And you know what happened is they got impatient. So they got impatient with God's promise. So what started to happen is Abraham and Sarah tried to make a family their own way. Basically, they couldn't get pregnant. So they said, well, God promised us a family. It ain't happening. So why don't we try to do things our way? If you know the story, it was kind of interesting. Basically, they had some servants, they had some maids, and Sarah was like, hey, if I can't get pregnant, then sleep with my servant and go have a baby. And they did this multiple times. And there's children like Ishmael, there's other children as well too, and they were not God's promised children. But what eventually happened is God's promise held true, and that ended up being a person named Jacob, Isaac and Jacob, for example, and that led to the rest of the promised children that God had made a promise. And one thing that I've realized is if God's making a promise, if he's got a dream, if he's got a will for your life, which he does, then he has a perfect timing to that, a perfect season for that. And instead of trying to manipulate his timing to be on our timing, because that's one of my main issues. I don't know if you guys struggle with that at all. Put a 1 in the chat if you've ever tried to be on a timeline that's not God's timing. Or he hasn't been on your timeline. It kind of feels that way, right? I'm impatient. I want things now. I want things yesterday. So what I've been learning a lot through this process is just trusting in his timing. That if God wills it, then it will be done in his perfect time. It says in his word that his word will not return void. It's going to be, in fact, right as I'm seeing this, wow. I sent a message out earlier this morning, and literally to somebody that I felt, I woke up this morning. Another thing I'm starting to realize is when you go through a period of fasting, prayer, and Bible study, you start to hear God more clearly. And this morning, I woke up at 2 a.m. in the morning, and then I tried to sleep again. Woke up at 5, and I had a name that popped up in my mind, and I felt like God was saying, "Hey, you got to go talk to this person." So it's kind of funny because while I'm on this live right now, I messaged this person in the morning, and literally as we're on this live, no joke, he just messaged me back. So interesting how things work. I know. So as we're going through this, I'm just learning to depend on God minute by minute, hour by hour. Hey, what's going on, Rose? Yeah, I'd love to invite you to this. Actually, I'm doing I'm in the middle of a 21-day water only fast for spiritual reasons. January 15th, I'm going to be walking people through a 7-day Miraculous Breakthrough challenge where I'm going to show you exactly how to pray, fast, and study to receive miraculous breakthroughs in your life, to get unstuck and to achieve the impossible. Because a miracle is having something that's not natural happen in your life. And if you want something that's a miracle, then you need God to show up in your life. And there's certain things that are biblically proven that if you follow these things, you will have breakthroughs, period. Not my promise, God's promise. And we're doing this because I wrote a book. It's called the Miraculous Breakthrough Formula. You can check it out, linked in the bio. We're actually raising for a Kickstarter for that. But I felt called to lead a group through that. So if that sounds like something interesting to you, be sure to check my link in the bio. I have a link called Kingdom Builders. You can join our Telegram group, and January 15th, we're going to kickstart this. And also on our YouTube channel, I'm actually starting to teach on how to do this properly, safely and properly, so you can get the breakthroughs that you want. I know, but if there's any other questions, feel free to let me know. I'd love to kind of discuss this process through you. Every night I'm going to be coming on in this 21-day process and personally, and I'm going to give updates and epiphanies and ahas, and I'd just love to connect with you guys and everything as well too. But I'm excited for what we're going to learn through this, and I'm really excited for what everyone else is going to be learning through this as well too, because I believe that when 2 or 3 come together, God is there with us, and there is power in community. There's definitely power in a group, and the type of breakthroughs that are going to happen when we together come together and say, God, we want you to show up powerfully. That's going to be something incredible, a corporate fast, a corporate dedication to God himself. So I'm excited about that. Last time I did it by myself. This time I'm doing it with a group. So there's many of you that have already expressed interest. Excited to go through that with you. If you are interested, definitely let me know as well too. And last shout out, if you're interested in checking out that book and looking at the Kickstarter, super blessed. I had another breakthrough today. Had someone contribute a very substantial amount to the book Kickstarter. So thank you so much. That is also my link in the bio. So the next 20 days are going to be amazing. So I'm not even going to try to put an expectation what God's going to do. I just know it's going to be something miraculous, something amazing. And I'm excited to see what he's going to do through all of our lives here. All right, everyone. Hey, other than that, just want to chime in real quick. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat, and I'll get back to all the comments as well too. And I'll be back on tomorrow with some more updates. So day 4 will start, and we'll go from there. On that, have a great evening.